Oh, I think I didn't make.
Oh, this is Carol. Okay, awesome.
Was that the board? Sorry. You know where I have. Awesome.
It is now 5:30 and we will start our regular school board meeting for Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024. We'll ask everyone to please stand for the pledge, followed by the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dr. Goodman.
Father, we thank you for this day. We ask that as we conduct the business of the school board, of the school district, that you would be with us, that we might do that which is in the best interest of all of our students and staff. In the mighty name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And for the record, for roll call, all board members are present. At this time, I'll move to item number 3, approval of minutes for April 9th, 2024 regular board meeting. Motion was made by Mrs. Schoonerman, second by Mrs. Mott. Are there any questions or any changes or any discussions? All right, all in favor? Motion carries. We'll go to item number 4. Mr. Huddick, reports from our attorney. Nothing now? Okay, thank you. And we'll go to item number 5, reports from our superintendent, Dr. Bobby Bennett.
Yes, ma'am. Just a few things. First, I'd like to recognize that Dr. Goodman and Mrs. Schoonerman are certified board members. That happened this past week. Congratulations, and congratulations to the entire board. Only 24% of board members in the state of Florida are certified. Our entire board is board certified. Plus, we hold master board certification as a group. It's just awesome. And so happy to have such an educated board, that's such good decision makers. Thank you so much for going through that. The next thing is we finished the collective bargaining agreement. That piece was a very good piece, and we're going to vote on that tonight. And then our final part, Dr. Reynolds is going to go over the district overview of our data, and then we're going to have our principals that will also go over. Dr. Reynolds, you have some handouts for the board members.
We have, I think we have so it's a lot of information we're trying to share. I want to run to our best to kind of move on with this. All right, so the first thing I just wanted to start with is really, and I like to start this in all of our meetings that we have, just where we're going as a district. I think the board seen this before in the past, but we are still in this phase right here where we have really great structure and systems in place. But we are definitely still focusing on alignment and having conversations on alignment. And a lot of our conversations in terms of instruction have really shifted to instruction values. So, looking at certain practices, and while they may be aligned, where are we getting the student work out of the student field? So I would say across the board, we're kind of in the middle here, focusing on alignment still, and now having a lot more conversations around instruction. Just a reminder, we have a cyclical analysis of school improvement. So we start with our revisits, we follow those as data meetings. In both of those kind of collectively, we look at and we create action steps. These action steps are created each quarter. And it's not just written to this is what the school needs to do, it's also written this is what the district's part of this. So we have the school will do this, the district will do this, since it is a partnership between the school and the district. And then all of these action steps with our professional learning days that we've had this year, we've informed those professional learning days, which we're really excited about, and helps kind of tailor that support that we're providing to teachers and staff across the board. So we're trying to make sure that, while our school improvement plan is created over the summer, that there is a continuous cycle throughout the year, and we're basing, our support and everything else based on current data. So we do follow this, and thank you for for those who have joined us with the view visits and data meetings this year. So just a quick note about alignment, and just going to go back to this road. This, I don't think we will ever fully move away from alignment. Alignment is very hard in education. Planning and delivery of instruction around standards, state expectations is sometimes hard. And so anyway, it's continuous growth and work, but we want to just make sure that we're shifting that needle from less of the not aligned or below grade level expectations to more of the fully aligned in this journey. So I just wanted to talk about that briefly. And the definition for alignment is that we meet or exceed state expectations. So if the standard is referring to something being analyzed, that we're saying student task and assessment around analyzing rather than identifying or such. But we go in and we measure this both in our quick looks, we measure it in our view visits. Every time we step into a classroom, we check for alignment. So we have a really good pulse of kind of where we're at with it. But really in alignment, there's three pieces. So there's the task, the written curriculum, that what's in front of kids or our students. It's the taught curriculum, which is your verbal instruction. And then it's also our assessed curriculum. So all three of those things have to be aligned in order to really hit the target where we want to head it. And so if any of those are aligned, we're going to miss the target. So that's why we have so many conversations around alignment. I wanted in your packet, you should have two things. I look at data that's really useful. Right now, so this is just off view visits. So we have conducted 340 view visits. And view visits are different than quick walks. View visits, we spend at a minimum 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes in a classroom to really capture a picture of instruction during that time. A quick walk usually is just between 3 to 5 minutes when we're just kind of going through classrooms. But time when we've actually spent at least 20 to 30 minutes, we've done that 340 times throughout the district. And this is kind of where we fall in terms of our alignment. So our alignment, we categorize as fully aligned. That means meeting the content and cognitive level of the standard. We have partial alignment, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's that we're not at the standard, the depth of the standard yet. But like the math instruction, for example, there may be some prerequisite skills that we're building up to that depth of the standard, which is appropriate in terms of progression. So especially if we're like on day one of the lesson, that's a 5-day kind of unit. Partial alignment is not always a bad thing. So that gives you a number down here. About 30% of those walks are in that partial alignment category. We really have been focusing our energy though is below expectations, meaning we're not at the depth of the standard, or we're further along in that instructional unit. So yeah, we are on the last day of instruction. We still have not hit the depth of that standard yet. So that's at that point below expectation in terms of rigor around that standard. And then we've kind of coined the term hobby teaching, which is where it's not aligned, which means basically that it's outside of the standards completely. So it may be like we're still teaching water cycle, and I'm making this up right now, in 4th grade, but water cycle isn't taught at all in 4th grade. It's taught in 3rd grade or 5th grade. You know, it's completely outside the scope of what the standards and expectations are, if that makes sense. So that's how we categorize it across the 340 classrooms. You can see we're at 50%, around 50% full alignment, which is a good thing. Around 30% around partial alignment, and then so forth. And we didn't collect data like this. We did collect data like this last year, but over the past year, we were really defining alignment within our district, and we settled at the beginning of the year on these 4 categories. So I don't have very good comparative data, but I can tell you just from walking a lot of classrooms last year and a lot of classrooms this year, that is a big improvement in terms of alignment for our district. And we have had so many rich conversations around what does this standard actually mean, and what would that look like in terms of instruction and instructional delivery. So, but anyway, so this is kind of where we're at in terms of. I also wanted to point out in your packet, there is this report here. So this includes like this is something we have to do at the end of each round of view visits, but it really has, you can see where we chart out our, our areas of celebration. We celebrate every single week visit here, all the wonderful things that are going on and great opportunities for providing students, et cetera, within the classroom. We chart out here the areas for support or opportunities, and then we also map out our next steps. Given these areas of support that we've identified, what are we going to actually do about it in this 9 weeks? And so we do that each time. We collect some of the funds for the building, we collect and then this will forward each quarter serves as our accountability. So at the second revisit, we'll pull back up our first revisit and it's, hey, you know, did we do this thing we said we were going to do? And we just kind of follow. Some of those things are yes, and we're kind of finished with them. Other things are, you know, we're still working on that. We're in progress. So anyway, I'm trying to provide that to the people that you can see the amount of instructional conversations we have throughout the year and ways we can better, you know, reach with our students. And, I've been real proud about this, the conversations, especially over this past year that we've had. And again, as I said, we shifted a lot of those conversations from alignment. We're on the same page of alignment, and now it's more conversations. Right now that we understand alignment, how can we get students to where we want to go with more quickly? Do you have any questions about that first piece? The other part of this presentation, I'm just going to do a quick update on the strategic plan just for goal one. Goal one is really around early literacy. And so we've done a lot of work in our K2 classroom over the past year and a half or so. And I just want to give kind of a timeline. So last year, we really focused on professional learning and the why, and we opened the door to pilot this on. We didn't make an expectation that you follow this new framework or anything like that, but we just opened the door to see if there was any teachers willing to take that first step and try it out. And we did. We had a handful or a good amount of teachers that did, you know, try some of these new practices that we were talking about. And so that was just kind of a learning year around the why. Over the summer, we collectively as a K2 group built and worked on an instructional framework around K2 literacy. So what does that instructional delivery look like? And so we built that collectively. We also created and ordered materials that go along with this different approach to literacy. And we kind of got all the pieces in place. This year is really our first full implementation year. So collectively, teachers, administrators, we all agree this is the framework we're going to use around literacy instruction. Here's all the resources and materials. And this year we're moving forward with that expectation and practice of this new literacy approach that we're taking. And then the professional learning has been around really the how. What does this look like? How does this look like? So that includes those formal professional learning sessions, but also just going into classrooms and modeling and showing them, collaborating on the instructional framework. So this is an example of a kindergarten instructional framework, but it lays out like the whole group setting, what that looks like in the first little bit of class, the both including your comprehension standards and then your foundational standards in full group setting, and then in small group, what does that look like? So it goes through and it shows, you know, our daily routines include phonemic awareness, and that's blending and segmenting. And here's 3 videos that shows this is what this looks like, you know, in the classroom, and these are the resources that you use. And then here are some additional practices or activities that the students can be doing in class as well. And these are again the resources and materials we have. So this is the framework I was referring to as far as support and guidance for providing staff. So implementation, and we talked in one of the last instructional updates about this year we're going to measure implementation, because implementation, just like if you were to implement anything, you have staff who are very comfortable with the style of instruction and they can get up and run a little bit more quickly and understand these practices, or they have prior experience with them or whatever it may be. And then you have others that may be uncomfortable or maybe a different approach, and they're just different. They're on different, they're in different places in terms of their progression as far as where they're at and comfortableness with instructing within this framework that we've set forth. So Christy and I, and this is, I'll put Christy and Jake's scale just because Christy and I walk a lot of, we're frequently in classrooms quite a bit. We probably hit all of our K2 classrooms, 3, 4, 5 times each. So in conversation with Christy, we kind of went through 47 educators where we felt like we've been there enough times to kind of get a pulse of what it looks like. And then along this rubric, we kind of placed kind of where do we think, you know, this educator may be in this progression. And so we have some that we feel are fully implementing the framework. They are right there. And we kind of put a learning hub there where their students are so familiar with working within this framework and the expectations, and they understand all the different pieces of the framework. Then we have teachers that are consistent in their implementation of this framework, and they're using the outcome boxes and the blending boards and schedules and all the resources, but they're still kind of learning those systems, and so are their students. Then we have, they're consistent and partially within the framework, meaning that they may be using one element of some of the things that we discussed, like they're comfortable using the slides, or we're saying, you know, they're using the blending sheets that we put forth. But as far as like bringing everything together at once, we may not be there just yet. And then we have some staff that are kind of in that pilot phase last year where they kind of dabbled in it a little bit. They're learning certain elements of it, but it's not as consistent. And then we have a couple staff that we feel are really just, they've received a professional learning around it, and they have an awareness of the frameworks and kind of the literacy approach. So we kind of categorize it this way. But for us, we feel very good about the 45% here, where majority of our staff are. Like, our K2 staff is incredible. They are willing to try and do new things, and they put a lot of energy and effort and meeting their students kind of where they're at, and taking ownership in some of these practices. And I would say for our first full year implementation, this is pretty successful. We don't have hardly anyone just flat out saying, I'm not doing anything. I'm not, you know, I'm kind of staying my ways. So this is actually really good. I think last year we had mostly a lot of folks in more of the awareness, and then just some kind of piloting, and we made a huge shift over here to where we're trying to work and work within the framework. So this is exciting. I would expect next year, once we have time to collaborate together, we'll have a lot more staff shift this way. And then that's when we can really start to measure impact. When we have a majority of the staff in the framework and consistent videos. All right, I only have like 2 slides left. The progress monitoring, this is just looking at the district overall. And I just wanted to point out, like in red, over here, this is PM1 ELA from last year to PM1 ELA this year. And you can see we went from a 63% to a 52%. So the number of students that are level 1 were shifting, and the goal was to decrease that number as much as possible. And then same thing for PM2. Last year we were at 56%, and this year at PM2 we're at 48%. So we're decreasing again this number of students that are in level 1. And this is for math. So here, PM1 last year we were at 80%. This year we're at 75%. And then for PM2, that this time of year we're at 64%. We're in level 1, and this year we're at 49%. So you can see kind of that bar shifting, which we want to see across the district, which is a good thing. Any questions from me? Okay. I think Dr. White will just now.
So just a little update on the high school. We are scheming on towards the end of the year and graduation and all that fun stuff. So we have our school improvement goals for ELA to increase student performance, as well as by some percentage points, as well as learning gains. That's what we're looking to meet our federal index of at least 41% of our subgroups. This is our PM data for FAST. This includes 9th and 10th grades. Ninth graders take the FAFSA, but it's our 10th graders are the ones that's what counts for the graduation requirement. So ninth graders, of course, from PM1 to PM2 went up. There's a change of 8. 10th grade, not as much as we'd like. Of course, this is back in January, so we're getting close to the end of the school year. All of our ELM teachers right now, every day, are focusing on those standards that are going to be covered on that last PM, so that we get as many of our kids to get that score that they need for graduation as possible. So, looking at math, again, we are increasing for both algebra and geometry, since the geometry can be used as well for the graduation requirement. This is not PM data because we don't have that at the secondary level. What we have is our internal benchmark data. And so, in looking at these, this is a little different, because whereas the FAST looks at the exact same assessment from one to the next, the benchmarks are just looking at the content that the teacher taught for that specific amount of time. So you really can't compare these, because they might have been doing, quadratic equations, that might have been the focus. This time around, there's no quadratic equations. And so this is a little different to look at, but we are making progress. As Jake shared, focusing on alignment piece, especially in our algebra, that's been a big thing this year, and I expect that we're going to see some good gains whenever we do our end of course exams this coming over the next few weeks. Social studies, they do benchmark data, but what I like to focus on for here is since those courses are taken by semester, we haven't taken our spring, but comparing to last fall, we stayed the same, but based off of there are more students taking it in the spring than in the fall. Based off of teacher data, anecdotal, they think that they're going to score pretty well, and that we'll see above 42% in the spring here when we take that. For science, we look at biology. Our proficiency rates, again, just like the social studies, it's fall and spring. I'm pretty happy to say that last year, school year, we were at 25%. For our fall administration, we jumped up to 39%, which is a huge gain for biology. I know those teachers have been working really hard to make sure that they're in alignment, and that what they're focusing on is what's going to be on that state test, so the kids are prepared. The last one had to do, I sort of combined these for student, parents, and community. That was, all about culture and climate. We visited the high school. We have a lot of stuff going on. We're always encouraging our parents to visit. A lot of good things are happening there. We have seen some positive things with our discipline in some areas. Some areas we're still working on, like the vaping and stuff. But as far as, interactions between teachers and students, we've definitely seen an improvement in some of our student groups as far as how they're handling stress at school. And then our action steps, everything that Jake mentioned, the alignment, the walkthroughs, those are all the things that we're doing currently. And then obviously with graduation coming up, we have a few blitzes and stuff planned for our math and ELA test takers, for those that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. So that was 4 minutes. But any questions?
What button were you pushing?
I just pressed the down button.
Even with my glasses, I can't see, and I don't have this mirror right here that where I can see a little better. We have 4 areas of focus this year. The first one is positive culture and environment, specifically related to teacher retention. I believe we had 18 teachers leave last year at the end of the school year. We were trying to beat that by 10%, and time will tell. I know as of right now, we have 8 teachers that have told me they're planning on leaving. So if it stays at that, we will beat that by quite a bit. Things that we're doing at the school, I told y'all before, we try to feed them every chance we get. We try to get them shirts. We try to do anything positive that we can with them. And I think things are moving in the right direction there. So, intentional practice, specifically related to intervention. This is our, after school programs. This is our, reading program. All the different things that we're doing at the school, we're trying to improve ELA by 5% with our students with disabilities and IEPs. And, as of right now, we're right there at that target. And, we start testing in 2 weeks. So, instructional practice specifically relating to benchmark instruction. I believe Jake, Dr. Reynolds gave you the perfect explanation of that. There's no way I can do better with alignment than what he did. This is my first year learning about alignment the way he's teaching it, and it's awesome. Our teachers, I've never been around a group of teachers that have more professional development than this group has. And they've done it with great attitudes. So, and then, which we already went over, Jake went over that. Positive culture, as far as our students go, we're using that with our positive behavior support. We're trying to lower our serious incidents by 10%. As of right now, this is a comparison. I believe the date was April 14th. You can look at, these are our major offenses. This would be from last year. This is for this year. So we're looking at, as of April 14th, we had 150 major incidents at the middle school. As of this year, we're at 94. So we're quite a bit over that 10% that we're looking for. This is the thing that I was concerned about the most. If you look here, this is physical attacks. This isn't a fight. This is where some kid goes up to another kid and just punches. We had 60 of those last year. So far this year, we've had 15. Drugs, we're right there at the same where we've been. Actual fighting, where two kids agree to fight each other. We went from 37 to 28. So we are moving in the right direction. This is still way too many, and we need to get that number down quite a bit, but we think we are moving in the right direction. So, y'all have any questions?
I have one, Dr. Boland.
Yes, sir.
Those aren't your good glasses, are they?
My good glasses?
Are those your, because I see you struggle trying to read those slides.
Glasses are in the bottom of a golf. I dropped them off last week on fishing. So these are what I got left.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can see him just struggling.
Everybody, I'm here representing Memorial Elementary. So, these are the goals that we've presented to you back in August. So we still have them. We're still reaching for them. 93 to 95% in attendance. Starting in January, when we came back, we started giving call bucks to every student who came to school every day for the week. And since then, we have been able to get our attendance up. So we're hoping to reach that goal by the end of the school year. The next goal has to do with our math in K through 2 and reading K through 2, where we were trying to hit proficiency at 60% for those grade levels. And then for our grades 3 through 5, we're looking at 47% for reading and trying to get the 60% for math. Last year we came at 56%. So we really feel that we just pushing a little bit more, we can get there. So this is our data from PM1 in August to PM2. We took PM2 in December. In kindergarten, for reading, we went from 19 to 40% with a 21% increase. First grade, we went from 40 to 39, but really digging into that data, our proficiency dropped by 1%, but it was because we were focused on those bottom quartile and bubble students. We were able to move them. We only had 6 kids in red level 1 at that time, but we need to push more going forward with our high kids, so we didn't start losing them. Second grade, we increased by 1%, and Memorial, as Jake referred, we are K through 2 UFly. And so we follow that framework. For math, kindergarten is a little deceiving. 30% had proficiency, but only 60 students at the time could pass the practice portion to go on to take the test. The next time around, we did have 120 students out of my 140 students that were able to get on at 20%. But the end of last year, we our students were at 55% going up. So I'm not concerned about that. I feel that they will be there by the end. In first grade, we increased it by 12%. And second grade, we did not increase it, but we didn't decrease it. We stayed at 58%. I would love if third grade pulled 58% at the end of third grade year. For third grade, based on the FAST exam, we went from 15 to 23% with an 8% increase for third grade. We did just take STAR. We took STAR back in March and we were at 43%, so that would even double, 20% increase. Fourth grade, we went from 16 to 23%, with a 7% increase. In fifth grade, of 14 to 30%, with a 16% increase. For third grade, in fifth grade math, we went from 2 to 17%, 2 to 9%, and 6 to 32%. I've got to brag on my fifth grade teachers. This is above the state average. So we're pretty confident that it will be above the state average in fifth grade math this year. So our action steps, we are still obviously aligning our instruction to the standards. Home boards are still displayed. We have our 30 minutes whole group, 60 minutes daily small groups. We're focusing right now in third through fifth on those standards that we're falling short on. We're making sure we hit those right before testing. Let's see if there's anything new that. Mad Minutes, we are offering a super splash coming, and that's actually going to be for math facts and for AR points. So we will have that again at the end of the year. And I shared the attendance data binders. We shared them at our parent night in January. We had a huge attendance for that. We had about, I would say about 250 students showed up for that event. So that was terrific. And we're still continuing in TSS. Any questions for me? Yeah.
Thank you.
I will. Good afternoon, everyone. I can move two of my slides. I have two less slides, so hopefully I can stick with the time limit. All right, so as Ms. Irby said, our SIP goals are still the same. We're working on, we have been running right at 93%. We've hit 94 a couple of times, but I say that 94 is, we're not going to let it be our kryptonite. We're trying to think outside of the box to make sure that we hit that 94%. We're calling those students, we're making home visits, we're doing all that we can because it's the same group of students that is keeping us from that 94%. We're working really, really hard to get those students in. Our proficiency, we wanted it to be at least 50% in reading and math. That was our minimum goal because we were not close to that before. Number of students receiving at least one suspension, including initial suspension, will increase by at least 50%. Our discipline has decreased drastically this year. Even when inputting it correctly, we realized just recently that they've been putting it in the comments and not attaching the actual action to it. So our data was a little bit different, but still about 400 overall total offenses. And we're trying to get them in line before they get to the middle school. So that will be helpful as well. Our PBIS is officially launched. We're being purchased with our basic funds and have our Cowboy Cash and our Cowboy Store all year long with the tangible Cowboy Cash that they would get for remembering their boots. And so we're hoping to train them these last few months of school with the electronic piece. So starting in August, they will, we can still use the tangible for those students that don't have the grasp of the technology piece. But we're hoping that will add to that as well. So I put all of our data on one slide. It's kindergarten through fifth instead of having it separated. It's still the same data, just one slide. I like to see it as a whole. So all progression there.
our first grade and our second grade. Small progression, but they started off, pretty high to begin with, so not that we don't want to keep that going. But they've been working really hard. Our math comparisons also kindergarten through fifth. As Ms. Irby said with her second grade, we noticed the same thing with our second grade. And, we were focusing so hard on that bottom quartile, to get them moved up. We did miss out on our bubbles there for a little bit. We adjust our intervention to make sure that we were also still pushing the bubbles, but then those extremely high students as well, that they weren't, they didn't just become helpers to all of the other students, because that so easily can happen, and we don't want that to happen. So we realize as well that that's where our 4% drop came from. But we are certain that we've adjusted and that it will not. Our action steps for moving forward, what we've been working on, forming percentages, they've been the same all year. The Spirits Day, we're in Bulldog Blue on Fridays. The sweet treats, Ms. Meredith has done a great job. It's not just a sweet treat either. They can also choose that if they have a sweet treat, they can have a blue coat or a bottle or a chalk festival. So it's really cool to see how the different classes choose different incentives for earning that. Our electronic version's been purchased, and really just, especially for 3 through 5, teaching the teachers how to utilize the science of reading and text set comparisons. A lot of times they were focused on just using the HMH, which was great. It's a district purchase resource. However, we found some of the activities in there aren't fully aligned. It doesn't meet the alignment that we expect our framework puts forward. So really creating text sets and that rich instruction moving forward. And also our K2 just rocking it out with the U-Fly. They're doing a great job. And we've held 2 parent nights. We had one big parent night in the fall to set all expectations and about testing and testing resources. And then we just held another one also. This one in the spring, we did have less parents than we did in the fall. And it was a night that there was a sporting event in every single sport you could think of. So we're thinking that's why we saw the difference, but we still had a good turnout, even battling all of the sporting events. You guys have any questions?
Thank you.
Glad I didn't keep all the fun.
Good evening, board members, Madam Chair, and Dr. Bennett. I'm Brandy, representing Dr. T. You said push down. Okay, our school improvement goals haven't changed, and we have 3 that we're focusing on, making sure that we have standard alignment amongst everyone else. Our SS subgroup is something that we specifically wanted to look at because we've had several consecutive years where every demographic served and or not performing. So it's our students with disabilities, our English language learners, and our Black students. So we are monitoring their progress very specifically to make sure they are making gains, and positive culture and environment, specifically related to teacher engagement. And so we are making strides. We did a climate survey in November, and we're about to send out another climate survey as well, just to make sure teacher voices are heard, their process, and just based on their attendance alone, there's been a lot of buy-in. I already have teachers that, excuse me, come to me and say, so that's the very powerful feeling, that level of engagement. So when we're looking at our reading data, our kindergarten went from 14 to 21%, first grade 25 to 29%, and second grade 37%. Excuse me, I know what everyone had months ago, but it just hangs on. Reading our third grade 14 to 27%, fourth grade 12 to 19%, and fifth grade 23 to 28%. So we are definitely seeing some growth. We have been responsive to this data. So once I get to the slides, I'll explain that to you how. For math, 24 to 27%, first grade 39 to 48, and there again, that second grade 55 to 40% that we seem to be seeing across the board. In third grade, we went from 3% to 17%. Fourth grade, 0% on grade level first time to 8%, and fifth grade, 3rd% to 28%. As soon as we got this PM data, we really engaged. Our teachers came together to analyze it, figure out what we needed to do. Really looked at every student, every subgroup. We made changes accordingly, pushed the kids that needed to be accelerated, and remediated the kids in different ways or moved them through the PSS. So we're very, very strategic with how we responded to this. We have kind of shifted a little bit our coaching support and went into a co-teaching model. We identified our 5 lowest homerooms that we really needed to push that extra support into as a result of this. And we shifted to and done some cross-campus collaboration to really understand what those fast style questions are going to look like. So they're staying inside the benchmark, but understanding and visiting what they're going to be seeing later. Our action steps, continue to be the same. Standard alignment. Based on our view walks, we are going to drill down that a little bit because we're a little broader. And now that we're starting to see that alignment, we want to kind of focus more on, we're seeing the written questions. We want to see the teacher questions that are matching. So based on the view feedback, we are making some adjustments to our walk through tool. Still delivering our PD and MOUs. As far as our ESSA population growth, again, just making sure that our attendance logs are kept to fidelity. We are analyzing. We're not quite at that 41% mark right now, but we are hoping to get closer. And our climate and culture, as I said, we have a culture survey coming out. Our teachers are participating in all the quarterly school improvement meetings, and there's really a lot of buy-in of the teachers coming their data and making those instructional shifts. Very, very. So now here, that's the process for our data and making the instructional shifts. Questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, that's all that we have at this time.
Okay. All right, at this time, we'll go to item number 6, public presentations. Is there anyone in the public that has something they would like to come bring before the board that is an agenda item? All right, seeing there is none, we'll move to item number 7, financial reports, approval of reports and the check register. A motion made by Ms. Mercer and seconded by Dr. Goodman. Is there any questions? All in favor? Okay. Motion carries. Routine business. Okay, motion to approve by Mrs. Schoonerman and seconded by Mrs. Mott. Is there any questions or anything? Oh, was it? Okay. I didn't know. Okay. All right. I know it is. It always is. Okay, 2, and well, let me just change this real quick. Okay, thank you. So motion made by Ms. Mott and seconded by Mrs. Schoonerman. All in favor? Motion carries. We'll go to new business. Okay, thank you. Motion made by Dr. Goodman and seconded by Mrs. Mercer.
That's exciting.
Yes, we are. Does anyone else have anything else you want to address or say? All right,
That's worth pointing.
Yeah.
Truly is.
Yes. All right, all in favor?
House.
Motion carries, and we're back to Dr. Bennett.
Yes, we just thank you for approving the compensation plan, the district bargaining team and the union bargaining team. Demonstrating our commitment to our teachers and our staff. We're the first district in the state of Florida to successfully complete collective bargaining and be able to provide pay raises for our employees. So everybody that comes back after July 1 will have that raise in their check. And that's every employee in the district. And Marcus, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you going through line by line by line by line. Make sure that everybody, when we change some of these salary lanes, that nobody got less of a raise than they would have on the old lane. And that took a lot of close inspection on your part, and I really do appreciate it. Just to give you folks in the audience a little bit of perspective, we've got counties right now in our consortium that still haven't settled this year's bargaining. So we're in a good spot. We've been good stewards of public money financially, and we're able to reward our folks. And I'm excited moving forward to next year. I'm excited we go to recruit. Our retention was extremely high, and these will help our recruiting efforts. Also, our beginning teacher pay is now $50,000, and that's absolutely incredible. Just to think of that figure. I know when we started in education, many of us a long time ago, $50,000. My gosh, that's what you hoped you would make at the end of your career. So we've really come a long way. The last 3 years, we've been around 32nd in the state. I expect us to continue to move a little bit in that. And we're trying to move to the midpoint in every salary structure we have, whether it's custodial, whether it's teacher, whether it's administrator. You want to try to get in that top half and then work our way up a little higher. So just congratulations to the board, our negotiation teams on both sides. It was very, very smooth and courteous negotiations, no contention at all. And that's really what it's all about, because at the end of the day, it's for our kids in the district to give them the best tools we put in our hands. And the best tools we have are those great teachers. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett. Is there anyone in the public that has anything that is not on the agenda that they would like to come to the board? All right, we'll move on to board presentations. Dr. Goodman.
I want to say that it was very exciting to attend the Florida School Board Association finance training with Ms. Schumann and Ms. Mercer. Thank you so much for doing all the driving. We just lay back in the back and pray to get there. We did, but it was good. So congratulations to this entire board. It's an honor to work with you. I am also excited about this 9.05, the agreement that we just approved with Grand Canyon University, making it possible. Not South Florida State College does a beautiful job, but to add on to this, Grand Canyon University, I'm excited for what that's going to do for some of our folks with that online learning. It's really exciting. And I've looked in and saw the job descriptions that was just worked on and moved in line. It's exciting. I can remember I had taught a lot of years before getting to $50,000 Dr. Bennett. So thank you for being the educational leader that you are to put all this together. I made some of those classroom visits and was very excited as an early childhood educator to watch the youth fly. Shoot, I was almost wanting to go back and teach, and because everything was in place. The teachers, they don't have to do anything but go into the classroom and teach. Everything's there. That's powerful. Very, very, very powerful. And I appreciate that. So again, congratulations, board, for all of us and being certified. I'm excited.
I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight and updating us with all this information, because it's great to see the growth that is going on within our county, and you guys are doing a fantastic job with all of that. Also, I attended the Tobacco Free Partnership last night, their little meeting, and that was pretty eye-opening. I got to do the in plain sight room and see just how sneaky our children are at hiding things right out in the open. There are so many things that I was not even aware were there. But it was really good to see. And if any of y'all ever get to walk through that and see that, or even teachers just to see, it's really interesting. I mean, something as simple as a water bottle that's really hiding stuff in the middle of it. So just a really good thought, and looking forward to the JRCT Awards Friday night. So it'll be interesting.
Gentlemen.
So tomorrow is Administrative Assistance Day. And so the board wanted to say the biggest thank you to Anna for all that you do. And I'll hand you this really quickly.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
So thank you, everybody, for coming, and thank you for always welcoming us whenever we come, whether it's for a view visit or just to look around. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Mrs. Wyatt?
And thank you to all of those principals. I know you have a million things going on this time of year. I know, and update us on everything. And it's easy to say, hey, we're working on alignment, but gosh, there's 1,000,001 hours that you're putting in to make that one little phrase happen. So thank you for doing that. The college graduation is coming up in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, we've got some of our high school students getting their graduation from the college as well. So that's a good deal. I wanted to mention also that we have the Rotary Club has an exchange student coming next school year from Taiwan. So this year's student was from Japan, and she was very active at our school this year, and year before had a student from India active as well, doing some things that A-team and whatnot. So we do have an opportunity for a couple more families to host. If anyone, teachers or anyone else would like to host her, she is going to be here this summer, so she'll be staying for the school year. So if you're interested in that, let me know. It's a great opportunity to have a teenager in your house that's really above average. And Dr. Bennett, thank you for all of your work, and Gina and everyone else who's worked hard to get that collective bargaining agreement in all arenas across the board passed and done. So much appreciated. We can have something really positive to say when we brag about the salaries that we offer for our staff here.
Thank you. And again, I just say thank you to each one of you and your teachers who are all working hard with you and your teams. And it's good to see the improvements, and we look forward to seeing more. And we appreciate all that you do, and Jake, all that you do all the walkthroughs and all. And I'm sorry I missed this last one. I was looking forward to it. But that was really interesting too. So if you get a chance to do that, that's really great to go and walk through with them and be a part of that and see how it's all running. And Gina, and thank you, and Marcus, for all your hard work. You're always out there keeping us going. And again, Anna, we all appreciate you very much. You're always there, and you help keep us in line and straight. So we appreciate all that you do. If anybody else has anything else. If not, then I'll move for adjournment. Okay.
I would have to say though, at that Florida, at the
FS.
Whenever we're all together as a group, we hear absolute horror stories from other districts, and I just sit there going, God, thank you for DeSoto County. Please don't let anybody else in or out. Let's just keep it like it is, and because there are some horror stories. And I just am so thankful for us.
Yes, we're very
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, motion to adjourn by Dr. Goodman. Which was that? Okay, Mrs. Mott, second. All right, all in favor?